You gotta love a good pawn shop find. Most pawn shops have outrageous prices, but occasionally you get lucky and you find an 870 for $100. Sure, it's a little beat up, and the barrel is actually made by Mossberg for an 870, but it's $100, so who cares? I didn't need another 870, but for less than a nice dinner with my wife, I had one. Through the numerous mounting of accessories, it's become what I call the 870 WTF. So I'm a shotgun guy. I'm also a weird gun and gun accessory guy. In a short period of time, I acquired an 870 and a number of odd accessories. The Remington 870's legacy as one of America's favorite shotguns ensures it has a robust aftermarket. Now, to be honest, each of these accessories could have their own little short video, but I do think it's a little more interesting to cover them as a kind of one big video. Now, these are all fairly esoteric, and 3 of the 4 are out of production. So now, I'm not just want to cover how these accessories work individually, but how they work together and how they become the Remington 870 WTF. So sometimes you just get lucky. Sometimes right after buying a Remington 870, you're watching the 1990s B-movie classic Time Cop. Now, this film is an interesting mess of firearms, and one that caught my eye was an 870 with a very odd forend. It had this U-shaped polymer handguard that wrapped around the hand. A quick Google search told me this was the Butler Creek Protector handguard. Butler Creek stopped producing this handguard a lifetime ago, but eBay proved fruitful, and I had one coming for about $25. Now, my initial purchase was just for the cool factor. It might have also been partially fueled by a few high percentage craft beers I had while watching Time Cop, but we won't go there. Now, according to the Protector's patent, the U-shaped, or to me what looks like a D-shaped wraparound design, is to keep your hand from slipping off the pump. That's fairly obvious, but I wanted a source before I assumed. Now, according to some old photos of the Protector's packaging, it lists 3 main benefits. First, it protects the hands and knuckles in tactical situations. It prevents hand slippage on short-barreled shotguns, and serves as a durable and accurate rest for long-range shooting. The slippage on short-barreled shotguns seems worth mentioning because anytime the pump is close to the barrel, you run that risk. You don't want your hand, jumping in front of the barrel. There has been cases of what I call Kel-Tec KSG hand, so obviously that risk exists, but it's fairly low if you're not an idiot. Now, color me shocked that the most useful feature of the Protector wasn't keeping my hand on the gun, but rather helping me exercise a good push-pull technique. When I shoot a shotgun, I use push-pull to mitigate recoil. I'm pulling back on the stock or pistol grip, and I'm pushing forward on the pump. This creates tension, which reduces recoil. Now, normally I'm just grabbing the pump and pushing it as hard as I can forward, but with the U-ring, I can push against the pump. So I can tuck my hand in there, and I can really muscle that push motion out, which creates more tension and ultimately reduces more recoil. Although what I quickly figured out is that recoil now impacts my hand a fair bit, which for a few shots isn't bad, but by the time I get to the end of a box of 25 buckshot, it gets really, really old. I eventually shifted my grip to hook my thumb behind the U-shaped design, and that cut down on the pain and still allowed for a solid push-pull on the gun. Now I'm thinking I could cut up a shoe insole and secure it with some grip tape to reduce the pain, and maybe reduce some of that fatigue-inducing recoil, but I haven't gotten there just yet. That might be a future project. Now, using this push-pull technique with a pistol grip-only shotgun, I was able to put 2 rounds of buckshot on target in less than a second at 10 yards. Now, that's my standard with a stocked pump-action shotgun. With a pistol grip gun, it's usually fairly tough. Now, I credit that performance increase due to the increased recoil control the Protector offered. This wasn't the intent of the designers with the Protector, it just happened to be kind of a happy side effect. And while it did help me establish a good recoil-reducing push-pull on my gun, I also realized it works with my next attachment, the Steiner Mark 7. Now, lights on pump shotguns can be tricky. The moving pump makes pressure switches difficult. The only company I know producing a shotgun-specific pressure switch is Streamlight. Now, alternatively, you can turn the pump into a weapon light, like the Streamlight TL Racker and the Surefire DSF. Now, this is typically the best idea for a pump shotgun light. The main downside is that after you fire, the light moves back and forth, but that's not really a huge deal. Steiner had a different idea. With the Mark 7, they would replace your magazine cap with a weapon light. So the Mark 7 is a 2-piece system that allows you to remove the light without removing the magazine cap. This design allows you to position the light fairly far forward on the gun depending on the length of the magazine tube. The further forward, the better, at least for avoiding things like barrel shadow. The Mark 7 has 2 buttons for ambidextrous use, but suffers from one big problem. Reaching those buttons requires you to remove your hand from the forend to activate and deactivate. It's not optimum, but it's a neat idea. And while you can't use it with like kind of a momentary mode, the Mark 7 was kind of a slim and trim way to add a weapon light to a shotgun. Now, the Mark 7 was discontinued years ago, and when Steiner clearanced them out for $50, I had to pick one up. The Mark 7 is a little bit behind the curve in terms of power. It only provides you with 300 lumens of white light. With that said, it is rock solid and well built. Being able to dismount it without disabling a shotgun is neat and turns it into a handheld light. Now, neat is the best way to describe it because the ergonomic concerns alone made it unpopular. Then you factor in the low 300 lumens and the fact that it has terrible parasitic drain that drains batteries in like a month. Yeah, the light wasn't popular. But some of this was solved on the 870 WTF. So with this specific model of shotgun, it has a 4-round 870 tube, which keeps it fairly close to the forend. Now when I use that thumb grip on the protector handguard, I can reach the button without breaking my grip. It's still a bit of a reach, but the important part is I can reach it and I can activate it and I can turn it on and off. It's not exactly fast, like a Surefire DSF or a pressure switch, but it finally kind of works, a little bit at least. Alright, if we jump to the ass end of the gun, we have the Pac-Mare Vindicator grip. This is another discontinued item I picked up off of eBay. It turns out all those junk emails eBay sends me can occasionally be valuable. Now, I purchased the full Vindicator grip and forend for $125, but for some reason, some people are trying to sell just the grip for over $500, which is absolutely insane. Now, the Vindicator grips were an entire line of grips for various firearms. Now, it seems like they are most popular on revolvers, and then Pac-Mare decided to bring that to other firearms. Now, they had the shotgun that you see here, and they even had an AR model, which looks absolutely either insane or wonderful. I haven't decided. Now, this grip system is actually a two-piece system. One piece attaches to the receiver of the shotgun, and that provides a base for the rest of the grip to attach. Installation is fairly simple, and it feels fairly stout. Now, what's unique about the Vindicator grip is that it forms this kind of unique inward curve that we don't often see with standard pistol grip shotguns. Most have kind of a swept back angle to them, but this is the complete opposite. Now, the most famous use of the Vindicator grip is its presence on the breacher configuration of the Remington 870 MCS. But now it's part of the 870 WTF. Now, if you're a fan of pop culture, you've probably seen the Vindicator grip in movies like 13 Hours and Chappie and Dread, and in the video game Manhunt 2, or is on that weird Mossberg 500/870 clone gun. Now, the grip is very thick and rubberized. It's very tacky and honestly, it feels fantastic. Now, the Vindicator's claim to fame is the air pocket recoil chamber. Now, this promises to reduce recoil and strain on the shooter's hand and wrist. Now, this might be true, but I also think the thick, soft rubber grip of the Vindicator helps a lot with recoil and control. In shooting, the grip never strained my wrist or gave me that wrist arthritis-inducing recoil that I expect from a traditional shotgun pistol grip. It proved to be incredibly comfortable and overall the best shotgun pistol grip, or at least the best vertical shotgun pistol grip I've ever used. Now, besides sparing my dainty wrists from recoil, the Vindicator grip made it easy to support the gun while reloading. You know that slight inward curve the grip has? Well, this allows me to support the gun a little bit better with just my wrist, and made it easy to reload through the loading port and through the ejection port in the case of an emergency reload. I really want the Vindicator grip for my Mossberg 500 model compact cruiser. Now, with that all said, is it better than a Shockwave style grip? I guess it kind of depends on what you're going for. I like the Shockwave style grip because I like aiming my pistol grip only shotguns, and the Shockwave style grip kind of makes this feel a bit more natural. The downsides of the Shockwave grip is that keeping it aimed at the target and reloading takes some serious wrist strength and gets old pretty quick. Oh yeah, I have a laser on this thing. I threw the Crimson Trace laser saddle that I had laying around on the gun. I don't really have a reason why. It's just it was there. It was for an 870, and this is an 870. And since I'm calling it the 870 WTF, it kind of made sense just to toss a laser on it, because why not? I'm not a big fan of visible lasers for self-defense. And while this laser saddle thing works, it does fade pretty quickly in any kind of bright light. But still, it's actually a lot of fun. Shooting clay pigeons on the berm with a laser is very smile-inducing. And it's kind of just there to round out the 870 WTF. I don't have a lot to say about it. It's fine. It's fun. I mean, but this whole gun's kind of just fine and fun, right? The 870 WTF is just a scrap heap of parts and pieces, most of them discontinued. But surprisingly, it came together fairly well. I didn't really expect that. I was just kind of tacking things onto an 870 and see how they fit. You know, the protector grip allows me to use the Steiner Mark 7 and reduce recoil. The Vindicator grip is extremely comfortable, and I There's a laser, so it's fun, I guess, kind of. It's easy to shoot from the hip if that's your thing, but it's also easy to aim and surprisingly easy to control, which kind of surprised me. Now I'm thinking the 870 WTF might see its barrel get trimmed as soon as tax stamps go to $0 in January. I think this would actually be a lot of fun as like a short-barreled shotgun with the barrel cut off right in front of the Steiner Mark 7. What do you guys think? Now this whole thing was just kind of an excuse to allow me to talk about several mostly discontinued shotgun products out there. And for me, that's a lot of fun. But, I like hearing what you guys think. And I hope everyone has a great night, a good weekend, and, peace be upon you.